Good evening. It is Monday, July 15, 2019 at 6 p.m. This meeting is recorded live and held in the Harvey Hearing Room at Town Hall. Ms. Hames, you please call the roll.
Mr. Fabiano? Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Present.
Ms. Swope?
Here.
Mr. Vecchia?
Present.
Mr. Perrin?
Here.
Mr. Capabianco?
Here. Mr. Matucci, will you please lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment? Or none? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the
So
June
moved.
17th meeting? Motion by Mr. Vecchia, second by Ms. Swope. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. We have a number of warrants this evening. We have warrant SVW 19-22, an amount of $302,153.86, and SVW 20-1, in the amount of $79,721.18. So I have a motion to approve the warrants.
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Ms. Powell, second by President Vecchia. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Abstention, the ayes have it, the motion is adopted. For payroll warrants, we have warrant SPW 19-26, the amount of $519,932.64. Warrant SPW 19-27, the amount of $519,641.92. Warrant SPW 19-28, the amount of $524,009.31. And warrant SPW-29, the amount of $524,099.31. Warrant SPW 19-30, and the amount of $522,087.89. And lastly, SPW 19-21, in the amount of $202,167.51. So I have a motion to approve all the warrants. Motion by Ms. Swope, second by Ms. Powell. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. And we do have two budget transfers. The first one is the amount of $403,143.86, and another one for $1,500 and $400. Do I have a motion to approve all three transfers?
Motion.
Motion by Ms.
Second.
Powell, second by President Vecchia. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. For buildings and grounds, we do have two requests. One is from the town clerk's office for the use of our property for elections. The other is for the Winthrop Viking Youth Chair Car Wash. So I have a motion to approve the buildings and
Motion.
grounds request.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Matucci, second by President Vecchia. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? One abstention. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. We don't have subcommittee reports. I believe we don't have any, and just the superintendent's report. Ms. Howard.
So, just a few things. Our reestablishing of residency policy, which is up for another reading tonight, we've had some information go out to our parents. We sent some clarifying information out today and posted it on our websites. There was a bit of confusion regarding what documentation parents needed to come for. So this year we decided the policy is really going to reflect grades 3, 6, and 9, and that the process of reestablishing residency is being put in place to help us with compliance around students attending school, making sure that they still live in the community, as we typically only check in on their actual residence when they first enroll or when they're coming into our kindergarten. There is quite a bit of work involved in having parents come in and do the re-registration process in terms of personnel. So we've decided to roll it out a little bit slower than initially thought. And instead of doing it in grades 3, 6, and 9 for this school year, we're just going to do it for grade 9. The policy can still sit for 3, 6, and 9. And towards the end of the school year next year, we'll put in place 3rd grade and 6th grade students as they're transitioning to new buildings. The ALICE certification for all new staff will be completed by August 20th, so anyone who took the certification training last year and is still employed by us does not have to repeat it, but any new staff member will have to do so, and they've all been notified as part of their new hire packet. I am happy to report that Riverside Trauma Center has accepted a proposal from us. We were lucky enough to get a grant from the state, part of the school safety grant, and working with Chief Delahanty, have some money set aside to do training relative to suicide prevention and identification. And more will come about in terms of the details of that, but it will involve trainings for students and peers, as well as staff and families.
How much money?
$30,000 was the school safety grant that was, $30,000 from the school safety grant is the amount of money that was allotted from the police department to us in collaboration. And as a reflection of the work that was done with the CASA report that came out regarding our students' behavior and thoughts, and certainly this is not something that was new to us, but we're bringing a different level of attention to it. I had the opportunity this past week to be at the Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents Conference, and I would say 80% of the conference was focused on student safety and social emotional learning. So to have Riverside Trauma Center become part of, collaborate with the Winthrop Public Schools is really neat. They are a very well-known agency that does a lot of school response around threat assessment. And if there is an unfortunate incident in a community, as there was in Revere this school year with an 8-year-old child who had attempted and successfully committed suicide, they were the responding party that came and did some therapeutic intervention for the staff and the parents as well as the students. So I am very happy to engage in this collaboration with them. In terms of summer programming, I think it's important just to bring you up to speed on what we are doing. We have Camp Fort running at the Fort Banks for our pre-K to 2 students. We have our Winthrop Public Schools Special Education Extended School Year program running, and that's running at the Cumming School as well as the high school. The middle school is running summer school to help some of our students who are struggling in ELA and math towards the end of the school year, get themselves up to speed so that they can be ready for entrance into grade 9. And at the high school, we are running Algebra 1 and ELA for grade 9 in class, and then we have several students working in the upper grades working online in credit recovery programs, and we are offering support for them Thursdays from 9 to 12 in the computer lab. A little update on transportation. We're in the process of identifying our kindergarten through 6th grade students who are eligible for transportation from the school. As everybody knows, we don't have a large school bus anymore, but we do have an obligation to provide transportation for students in K to 6 that live beyond 2 miles from their home to the door of the school for which they will be attending. So with the help of Judy Bono and Diane Abbott, we are working on that list to notify parents and get them their letters, letting them know that they have the opportunity to access that transportation, and then we'll work to put together the route. Skip Calley is the current bus driver who picks the students up down the point. We have specific lines and numbers on Shirley Street all the way down to Undine and mostly down the point, in which we have a certain number of students that we pick up and drop off. He does multiple runs during the day because we need to accommodate both the Cumming School, the Gorman Fort Banks, and grade 6 at the middle school. Sticking with transportation, Charlie Pass program that we instituted last year, where any of our students who want to take public transportation, we engaged with the MBTA to get a reduced rate for our students. We roll that out for students in grades 7 through 12, so they can come to the secretary or the guidance office and receive a Charlie Pass, where they can present that pass, and instead of paying $1.25 or whatever it may be to ride the town bus, they get a reduced student fare. We keep track of them and make sure that our students who need them get them. They're eligible for any student who wants to take advantage of that in grades 7 through 12. So that is ongoing. Just a quick update on curriculum. Ms. Gallivan is going to come in probably the first meeting in September to give a much wider array of this, but I will do my best. New curriculum implementation for 2019 and 20. We have lots of programs that we have reviewed along with principals and some key stakeholders around the curriculum and assessments that they're using at each level. That work was done all of last school year, and with lots of input from staff, we have made some changes. So Renaissance and Accelerated Reader are going to replace what we have now, which is SMI, SRI, and Reading Counts in grades 2 through 8. Lexia is a very strong program, and we're going to continue to use that at all levels. Edgenuity, which is Path Blazes and K to 5 reading program, and math at the ATC 3 to 5, that will be done by Edgenuity. Digital Libraries, 9 through 12, is going to replace Odysseyware, and that's the summer school and credit recovery program that we have. iReady is a math diagnostic and instruction curriculum. We're going to use that at the Gorman-Fort Banks in K to 2, and Dreambox is replacing 10 marks at the middle school, so for grades 6 through 8. Lots of work went into reviewing and identifying those programs, aligning them, making sure they're aligned with the state standards, and that the data that we received from last year's MCAS and the preliminary MCAS results from now led to those decisions. Laurie will go into more detail about that for you all in September. School improvement plans have been submitted to me and have been reviewed. The key to that whole process was making sure they were aligned with the strategic plan so that we can align them with teacher goals and so that I can align them with principal and administration goals. So those will be presented to you as well in September for your reading. Administrator evaluations are close to being completed. I can report that I'm very pleased with the growth in our principals and the focus on high achievement. I recognize the high achievement by the evidence that they presented me with, aligned with their goals, and again, their past strategic plans, which were written prior to, their past school improvement plans were written prior to our development of the new strategic plan. So although they were in line with the strategic plan to a degree, the new school improvement plans that you see, you will be able to closely match to the strategic plan.
When will we see those?
So September, so
Okay.
they'll come, I'll present those at the September meeting. Another note of interest, the pre-K classroom is going to return to the Little Vikings classroom at Winthrop High School. We are planning for that in terms of how the high school students will interact with that classroom. Mr. Crombie, Ms. Gallivan, and Eileen Pearson are working out the details of that to make sure that it's going to be in line, most likely, with the child growth and development class first, so that we can ensure that not only are the students in the classroom receiving benefit from students coming into the classroom, but there are educational goals and outcomes for the students who are actually going into the classroom. So what's the purpose of going into that classroom? What should those students be getting out of that, the high school students who will be attending? So more to come on that. They have a couple more meetings this summer to lay that plan out and to also look at a bunch of compliance things that we just want to make sure parents are aware of, some trainings for our students around use of social media, confidentiality, and things like that when working with some of our little ones. So we're pleased with the fact that we are able to return that program to the classroom that it was designed for, and we expect some great things. We have been able to orchestrate our current speech and language, occupational therapists and physical therapists, as well as our social workers, with their schedules to enable them to go over to the high school to provide those services. And I would say, at best, we're going to probably have to hire a 0.5 combination of an OT and speech pathologist to be able to really work that schedule. Different than last year, the principal of the Gorman-Fort Banks School will be in charge of that classroom, although she's not physically there. I look at it as a movement of a classroom just in terms of where it's housed. So Ms. Pearson will continue to provide the oversight, curriculum observation, teacher observation, and evaluation. They'll run on the same schedule as the Gorman-Fort Banks School in terms of parent nights and curriculum nights and things like that. So the difference will be the house and the integration of high school students when we can have that plan clearly articulated.
Okay.
And I have, most importantly, budget. Susan and I, mostly Susan, has been working on the close for the school year. We, as of today, are feeling comfortable that we will close on target and in the black, which we are happy to report. Freezing the budget in November of 2018 has allowed us to keep a very close eye on every purchase we have made this entire school year and watch that budget very closely. As everybody knows, our budget for the upcoming school year, 1920, is about $413,000 less than a level service budget, so we need to continue to be very tight in what we do, in terms of what we buy, what we purchase, what contracts we have, and the like. So we will continue to work on that. A lot of those transfers that you saw tonight was sort of the culmination of the revising of the budget process, so moving all those lines around to reflect where the money does need to be for next year creates sort of an exciting adventure that we'll be taking on being able to tie everything to every line item and watch it extremely closely. And last, staffing. I'm happy to report that Nora Grimes is no longer interim, and she is the full-time principal of the Arthur T. Cummings School. Andrea O'Leary is being transferred from the Gorman Fort Bank School to be the assistant principal, as Carrie Ann Murphy has left to be a principal in another district. So she will no longer be the interim principal at the Gorman Fort Banks, but will be the full-time assistant principal at the Arthur T. Cummings. I think that will make a tremendously strong team in that building. A committee has been established to hire the assistant principal position vacated by Mrs. O'Leary. I'm working closely with Eileen on what we're looking for in terms of a candidate, personality, experience, maybe where they live, proximity to the school. In terms of staffing, the high school has hired a new science teacher, new ELA teacher, a new ASP, and a new athletic trainer. Middle school has hired 2 new science teachers and a new ESP. Arthur T. Cummings, 2 new ESPs and 1 new special ed teacher, and the Fort Banks has filled the 1 new ESP. None of those are new teachers, meaning they're not added teachers. Thankfully, we did not have to cut any teachers this year. These are teachers who are replacing teachers who have left us this year for a multitude of reasons, those of which we've done exit surveys for. And I can report to you as of right now, the majority of our teachers are moving for personal reasons. So they're leaving us either to go to another district closer to where they live. We have a few people leaving the profession, and we have done surveys. Not everybody completes the survey, the exit survey. We do call them and ask them if they would like to do it over the phone, so we can get that feedback just to make sure, why are we losing people? Where are they going? Position still open, a special ed teacher and an assistant principal at the Gorman Fort Banks. High school is still interviewing for a Spanish teacher, a full-time nurse, and a special ed teacher. Cummings School, a special ed teacher, and middle school, the 8th grade math teacher. So the process is moving along very smoothly. And last but not least, my Summer Leadership Academy will be next week with the principals and other administrators, where we will be updating strategic initiatives, keeping the same strategic plan goals, but updating the initiatives, reviewing the progress on all the priorities and initiatives that we have accomplished this year. We'll be looking at our Tier 1 and Tier 2 crisis response team trainings. We'll be looking at professional development trainings and scheduling for the suicide and crisis intervention topics and discussion for next year with Riverside. And I think that's it. Yes.
Any chance that next year we could hire a social science teacher?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping to do it this year, but the budget didn't agree with that, so that would be the goal, would be to hire. Somebody asked me the question the other day, how come you have to have certified social studies teachers? Can't middle school teachers, like elementary teachers, teach everything? And I said, it's interesting because middle school teachers carry certification in specific areas. So if you're a middle school teacher, your concentration may be math, so you're certified in math for middle school 5 through 8. And they said, well, if you're a teacher, you're a teacher. You can teach anything, which is pretty true. Most teachers can teach anything. However, and not to be fresh, but I wanted to make it real, if you have to have your appendix out, there are lots of doctors out there. A dentist is a doctor. If you have to have your appendix out, I don't think I'd go to a dentist. Why? Dentist doesn't specialize in appendix. And if you want the job done well and you want the outcome to be pretty good, you go to a specialist. And so that's why in the field of education, we focus on certain criteria, certain areas of expertise. They'll begin testing in social studies pretty soon, like probably a year from now. And our goal would be not to have our math teachers and English teachers having to teach our students about social studies and civic engagement. So we will continue to press with the budget to hire certified social studies teachers and expand that team of expertise so that our students have the best outcome at the end of the school year.
I'm not asking for names
Sure.
or anything about some other issues, but in your exit interviews, were there any concerns you had about reasons why some people did leave, and are you, is
Sure.
that things that you need to address?
Sure, so I take each one of those exit surveys, and during my leadership meetings, this year it will be during our Summer Learning Academy, I will go through them with the principals as a group without naming names, so that we can identify, just like we did with the strategic plan, real pockets of areas that are concern for people. Then take a look at our own practice. If somebody was upset about budget, look at the budget, we'll compare it to other school budgets in terms of salary. If somebody was upset about how they were treated, whether it was a gender issue or whether it was an ethnicity issue, we'll look at that. We'll look at our differentiation of how we do things as leaders, as principals, as administrators. So anything that comes up in those exit surveys, we will go over so that everybody is aware. It's of no value to have someone do an exit survey and put it in a folder if you don't talk about it. And have people, whether it's real or perceived, or whether it's something that's somebody feels it doesn't happen, we have to put it on the table to make sure everybody is on the same page. So that's what we'll do with those exit surveys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on, unfinished business, we do have the second reading and adoption of the residency policy and the second reading and adoption of the meal change policy.
Motion to waive reading of both.
Motion by Mr. Parent, second by President Vecchia. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor, please signify by, that's what.
Sorry, I just want to
Yeah.
comment very quickly on the residency. It's already been addressed. This is an issue that has been of concern, and we really want parents to know that this is an opportunity for the schools to ensure that our resources are going to the Winthrop residents, and we value their cooperation with that. And on the other is
Meal
the school,
change.
the school lunch.
Yes, meal change policy.
Yeah, meal change policy, and this again is just a routine accepting of what has been our general practice in order to ensure that students are getting food regardless of the bills, and that the bills are getting paid so that we're not having to cover those at the end of the year.
Because as we know, the budget actually covers, and we can't bill for the next year, the next fiscal year for those, so it's a loss to our underlying budget when they're not paid, when those bills are not paid.
Correct.
Thank you for your work on this, Ms. Powell. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Public comment, and then public relations, Ms. Narducci. I'm just wanted to let everyone know I'm very excited, and I want to thank Lisa Howard, Superintendent, for her work and Mr. Matucci for her work to allow the pre-K class to return back to the high school. I think that's something that really highlights our district. And I also want to congratulate Nora Grimes and Andrew O'Leary in their new position.
Thank you. I think.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Matucci, second by Mr. Parent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.